Hey, how's everyone doing? Welcome to the Normal Boots panel. I don't think any of you know who any of these people are, so...
I don't even know who I am.
Let's start at the end. Hey, we got Peanut Butter Gamer. Hey. Jirard, Dragon Rider, the completionist. Khalil. Satchell like a bag, Drakes. Shane. Oh, Jirard. And I'm your host for the evening, Lee, and... Woo. Yeah!
What are you doing here?
I'm on the panel. Just listen to me.
Go away.
No, Jeff. You can stay there, Jeff.
You don't have to sit there for the joke the whole time.
Stay.
SpaceHamster, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Jeff could be the tiebreaker vote if we need him.
There's only 5 of you.
Hey,
So-
Lee, before we start,
What's up?
I have a couple of announcements to make.
Of course.
First things first, we have a signing right after this. For those of you guys who missed us yesterday,
We did.
this signing is capped to 1 hour, and we cannot stay any past that hour because yesterday we ruined everyone else's signing schedules. So if you want to see us, come immediately afterwards for signings, and then that's it for us. Second, I don't know if you guys know this, but we have Normal Boots shirts. Green and black with magical speckles.
Confetti cake.
They're at the Yeti booth, and we were told that they are running out. So if you want to get some of that sick merch, go get it, and we'll sign it and all that fun stuff. That's it for now. So take it away.
All right, hey, so we thought it would be fun that instead of a regular Q&A, we take like the first 20, 30 minutes of this panel.
Ham.
If you have
Take the
a
first
hand
20, 30 minutes of this panel, and we're going to do a Madness Live. And we thought we should talk about the essence of the N64.
Should we explain what Madness is just in case anyone isn't subscribed to
so-
youtube.com/normalboots?
Well, you can go to youtube.com/normalboots and watch Madness, which is a panel show where 5 of us talk about 2 things, and we decide which of those things is better, and it's in a big bracket, and we decide what's the objective best thing. It's not at all our opinion.
With facts and science.
That's right.
Yeah, so the first season we did was in 64. The brackets are randomized, so a lot of people were wondering why we didn't compare some certain games. So we thought, let's compare Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie.
Definitely no strong opinions about this one.
I've been dreading this panel more than everything else.
Let me get my timer out.
So why is Super Mario 64 better than Banjo-Kazooie? Let's start.
Yeah, okay, Austin, you have a point you want to start with?
No, I was just gonna set the tone pretty much with that.
I'm waiting to see what Jirard likes. That way we know what's not his.
Hey guys, welcome to the Normal Boots versus Jirard Madness. I'll say it, Banjo-Kazooie is a superior game in my opinion.
Explain yourself.
I think, oh yeah, this is where it's gonna go. I think that it does platforming better. I think everything's much cleaner about it. I think it's more fun in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Now let's get roasted for the next 30 minutes.
Gerard, what specifically about it do you think is fun? Give me like 3 bullet points.
Oh man, it's like my only.
Review this game, Gerard.
Hey everyone, welcome. No, so First and foremost, I think the graphics are pretty. I think that aesthetically, it's a much prettier game than Mario 64. I think that the overall aesthetic and music and vibe like matches very closely as a nice overall package. I think that it looked at Mario 64 and said, hey, there's a lot of things about Mario 64 that everyone liked, but there's a lot of things that it didn't like, and let's try and optimize it with things like not getting knocked out of overworlds, making collectibles a lot more physically visible as opposed to like the red coins kind of being scattered and small. I think and then obviously there kind of is a more concrete narrative that I think is a lot more enjoyable for like a family-friendly perspective as opposed to like Mario's like, yeah, I gotta save the princess. It's like, and there's boobs and there's like people and it's annoying, but I actually like it a lot. I think it fits the overall tone of the game.
Does it need a story?
It doesn't need a story, but the story that's there is like got clever writing and interactions, and it's a fun time. It's like the fact that there is a story and it goes the extra mile to make it interesting and fun. It's like versus like, you know, hey, someone's locked away in the castle, go save them. Like for what it does, it tries and it tries well.
I have a counter argument.
Here we go.
Senpai. I'm totally willing to concede that Banjo-Kazooie has a more beautiful environment. There's certain parts of Super Mario 64, particularly the challenges that lead up to the Bowser battles, where it's overtly a tech demo of like random textures grafted onto basic polygons. And you kind of just forgive that because you're like a child. But when you look back on it, it's like, this has nothing to do, this isn't a part of the Mushroom Kingdom, you know what I mean? So in that way, Banjo-Kazooie probably has more lush environments. Everything contextually makes sense. Mm-hmm. What I push back on is in Super Mario 64, it's kind of more of a collectathon per se, because the stars aren't as much a thing you collect as much as they're rewards for completing a mission. Every star can be accounted for with release chomp, race to the top of this hill or whatever. And things like collecting coins, which is basically collecting the shinies like Banjo-Kazooie, those kinds of things are secondary. Like if you realize if you get like 100 coins, a star appears that wasn't there before.
Yeah, the stars in that game seem to just like catalog your victories rather than like be the point of the game.
Yeah, which makes sense because it's an open world and it's not linear. You have freedom to choose the order in which you do complete the mission, so it's almost a great way of letting the player know, to be able to log the player's progress as they're collecting things as they want to. Senpai.
I actually like the Banjo-Kazooie voices. I was never mind like animalese kind of talk. I think it totally fits the vibe. I actually don't think the music is as good as Super Mario 64 though. Because Banjo-Kazooie has the kind of samey songs. They're really good, like cartoony, comic, like soundtrack. But Mario 64 has a lot more variety. You get like the snow level.
I'm actually going to argue against that, just because if you actually listen thematically to the Mario 64 music, it's actually the same 4 to 12 notes remixed.
Did you repeat the songs?
That's literally just music, Jirard.
You're going to fault me for making a point about, like...
Yeah, there are 8 notes in an octave.
Before I don't talk for the next 10 minutes.
Mario 64 uses leitmotifs extremely well. I think that's what you're talking about there, Jirard, because it is like the same melody, just play it in several different ways. But
It creates a theme.
They also did that for Mario World, and it was great.
And really famous soundtracks in award-winning movies as well.
I think Jirard is biased because he knows a certain Mr. Grant Kirkhope.
Hold on. Question. Is like the wooing to like be like collusion on Jirard or like Jirard's mad? Because I have been a fan of Banjo-Kazooie and its soundtrack way before I even met Grant Kirkhope, and to this day it just makes me love the game more because I know him personally. But like that's because it's like if Satchell made a game, I would love that game too because he's my friend and I want to support my friend. You know, like that's the only like so. I don't think I'm biased because I'm friends with someone who made a game I already was obsessed with when I was 10 years old.
I would argue just about any reason is fair. I mean, it's just as valid of a reason as I played Mario 64 when I was a kid, so I like that one better. It might even be more valid than that.
Okay,
I mean,
pause
it's
for a
completely
second.
subjective anyway.
Pause for a second. This is not an objective panel. We don't know what we're talking about.
Right. I meant to say subjective. Did I say objective?
No, no.
Oh,
I'm just saying, don't take this seriously. Please.
This matters.
What's up, Shane?
I think banjo's music is definitely catchier though. Like
That's
I
true.
catch myself humming banjo more than I do Mario 64, even though Mario 64 probably has better music.
Freaking Jolly Roger Bay. Like, oh man.
Is that because the music is annoying and it gets stuck in your brain?
Yes.
I'm completely unbiased against Banjo-Kazooie, don't worry.
You edited a video with fuck Banjo-Kazooie.
Unbiased.
I didn't play a whole lot of Banjo-Kazooie because when I played it for like the hour or two it was, I immediately didn't like it. Well, the reason being, it wasn't because like the gameplay itself was inherently bad or distasteful. It was more that I actually did not like just how much collectibles there were. And I felt like that was kind of a trap that Rare themselves kind of got themselves into, really starting with Donkey Kong Country 3, where they just had so many collectibles and things to get in a lot of their platforming games that it was not necessarily overwhelming, but just like, I gotta get that crap too, and I gotta get that crap. It's like an ever-extending grocery list. And because of that, that made me not want to play Banjo-Kazooie, because I couldn't just like, I didn't feel like I could just, like Satch was saying, do my objectives. I felt like I just was tasked with picking up trash.
Man, the audience didn't like that one.
So what you're saying is, it's a garbage game.
I wouldn't say it's a garbage
Like,
game.
I firmly believe Banjo-Kazooie is a very, very good game. Like, I've listened to Jirard talk about it a lot. I've listened to a lot of other people talk about it, and they always speak really high praise. And I believe them. It just wasn't for me. Like, it didn't really stick with me at all.
I'm just poking, it's fine.
Could we compare like the two main villains in the game? Because I think that's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that Banjo-Kazooie actually has over Super Mario 64. I mean, Bowser's super iconic. But Gruntilda's just like complaining to you throughout the whole game. And, like,
Gruntilda had character. Bowser
Yeah.
didn't really have character until
Yeah.
like the GameCube Wii era.
Yeah, Bowser's whole character is like, he shows up and sucks a lot and you beat him. And then he's like, oh man!
Gruntilda constantly reminds you that she's the villain by dumb rhymes and like threatens to hurt Tootie in ways that are like, I'm going to tickle her feet, and you're like, that's a weird thing to do to someone, but like, it's like but then you enter her lair, and she's like, I'm always here. The villain that's like reminding you of what to do in this open world, like, you need to conquer this, or else your sister's going to be in a lot of trouble. And the whole point of the game is that you're trying to make sure that basically the Wicked Witch of the West does not become the hot Wicked Witch of the West. Because she's trying to suck the essence out of your sister's being to be sexier. It's like, again, the plot doesn't need to be that crazy, but it's like funny and appropriate for what the game's doing.
That's a really good point. Like, it doesn't really, Mario 64, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't really incentivize not liking Bowser. He's just sort of this ominous, scary thing, and you're like, oh, yeah.
You stole your girl.
Oh, yeah, he did do that.
He definitely kidnapped
That's right.
her. Like, that's not like, and I mean, counterpoint to what Jirard was saying, who freaking knows what Bowser's doing to Peach this whole time? He doesn't even give you updates. You're like sitting here thinking like, oh no, I gotta get it, I gotta get there. At least Gruntilda's like, you know, giving you some updates. Like, like who knows? Like, oh man, it gives me a panic. I
Yeah, you
gotta
can go check Gruntilda's Vine account.
She's posting updates like constantly.
Well, at the same time, though, when Mario 64 came out, we also had Mario World, Mario 1, Mario 3, like, we already know who and what Bowser is and what he does.
Yeah.
And at that point, he has raced with us on carts, so like, we have an idea of like, that yes, he's a villain, but we're sometimes friends with him. Like, it's pretty clear when Mario shows up what the task is to do, is to stop Bowser.
He crosses some major lines that really wouldn't fly in real life, but you do get the sense that he does like Peach at least. Like, he's not gonna hurt her, he's just gonna like take her. Which is not really better when I think about it.
Yikes, yikes.
We should stop that.
I have a question. because I actually don't know. In Banjo-Kazooie, is there like a singular showdown with Gruntilda?
Yes.
Is she like the final boss?
Yeah. Yes.
Because I wanted to compare the boss fights between Gruntilda and Bowser. I don't know if Gruntilda's at all, and Mario 64's Bowser fights are stupid. So
I can never get good at those. It seems like it's just like, how do you throw it right on the bomb thing every time? Also, why does he put those there?
Hey man, they look cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think to the 64's credit for Mario 64, and I mean this in the most respectful way ever, Mario 64 wasn't just a game. It was a tech demo designed to show developers this is what you can do with our technology. And so a lot of the design choices were made in the perspective of this is a thing that you can do in 3D. This is what Mario can do in 3D. And so I think going back to your point as to like you know, the rudimentary designs of like leading up to Bowser is like kind of like we accept the fact that there's just blocks in the sky that Mario can climb on. Yeah. I think it's to show off the power of the console.
This can be your art.
Exactly. Like, you know, this is like them advertising to developers, you can do something like this.
I think that's why they had the Bowser fights like that too. It's like, oh, you can throw them in any direction. Look at that.
You can use the joystick to do it. This innovative thing that's on this banana.
You definitely won't get sued for this later for a different game.
But to go back to Jared's point, there is kind of, if I recall, my brain's not working. There's only like one massive fight with Gruntilda at the end. Whereas the rest of the bosses and those moments are like dispersed amongst like the levels themselves having challenges. Where like, oh, this boss fight that takes place in this level is a part of the level, and not so much like, well, you've reached the midpoint, here's the boss. You've got, you know, exit on the jiggies, here's the boss. It's more like the bosses are contained within the levels themselves.
Even though you only fight Gruntilda once, the build-up to it lasts the entire game because she's constantly taunting you. And
yeah.
I think that's done a lot better in Banjo than in Mario.
Yeah, and a lot of people complain about the quiz board at the end of the game. I think it's hilarious because you play this massive game where the game is constantly like challenging you in small increments, and at the end it's like, before you fight the boss of the game, you must take an exam! And you're like, what? And then it's like, great. Here's this music. Listen to this music. Where's it from? Like, oh, it's okay, cool, yeah. You did it, move on. Or it's like, you suck, you take a hit. Like, people always complain that it's too long, but like I think it's perfectly paced.
So the game itself indoctrinates you to remember the game and make it memorable.
Going back to
actually, Jirard, I kind of like that too because it's like the whole game has this goofy vibe. I like it just kind of troll at the end. I think it
self-referential, yeah.
Yeah, that would have felt weird in Mario 64, but I think it works for Banjo.
I think it's about matching the aesthetic. I think that the game, Banjo understands what it's trying to do. Like to me, we can say all we want that like Mario 64 is a family game, but I think like Banjo-Kazooie is somewhat designed for kind of like children first and then everyone else in a way. That's why the characters are always so cute and charming in their design.
It's like playing a cartoon, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that does change how we think of the game, right? Like it's a game made for kids, but really it's a little more difficult than that.
Yeah, Mario 64 is family friendly insofar as it's just not offensive.
Right, yeah. No one's been hurt or offended by Mario 64. Yeah.
So we've spent 14 and a half minutes talking about why Banjo-Kazooie is good, and like music, memorable character designs, great world. I feel like we kind of just assume that everyone knows about Mario 64. What are some good things about that game?
Well, I mean, they're really dated now, but at the time I think the controls for Mario 64 were a lot slicker than Banjo. Maybe Jirard can clarify that, because I played Banjo, but nowhere near as much as you have. I just remember Mario 64 felt so tight. Now it's weird playing it now, and it's kind of like frustrating, but back then it was I feel like, you know, Banjo was more floaty, and you could do like that Yoshi like hover and stuff like that. It just wasn't as satisfying of a platforming game to me. It was more just like running around and collecting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think Banjo introduces things slowly but surely throughout the game, so you kind of get better as you go along, and you have more tools in your tool belt, whereas Mario 64, you have everything from the start. And so, I think that's why it's so much more fascinating to watch something like a Mario 64 speedrun versus something like Banjo-Kazooie, because it's like
There's a lot of technical things, and tricks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't played Banjo on the original N64 for quite some time, but the 360 port of Banjo is so clean. It is, in my opinion, like when you're a kid, right, and you're like, oh man, I remember this thing being so good. You go back and play it and you're like, maybe it's not so good. The 360 port of Banjo is like me remembering, though this game is brilliant. It does hold up well. And with 360 controller, they made it function better. But then again, it's like, well, what about the original? It's not as, you know.
Yeah, we're talking about the essence of the N64.
Yeah, right. But I don't know. I didn't have any problems with controls on Banjo. I think the fact that you have more tools and different things to do throughout it, like, you know, if there's a hill, you run up it, you fall down it. Well, if you have the ability, you know how to do it, you can have Kazooie take you up the slope instead of like just running and trying to find a different way. There's different tools that change the gameplay throughout each level.
I think Mario 64 lets you do more with less, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, just including things like wall jumping completely changes how you navigate 3D space compared to Banjo. I mean, I guess in that way, Banjo is more accessible, so you don't have to worry about, like, more precise, like, depth perception challenges and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the wall jumping in Mario 64 isn't 100% clear. It's kind of like,
yeah, you never have to really use it. There's like one star, and like
and people don't even use it.
You don't even have to. You don't have to.
There's a few stars. Like, there was this one in the Easy Maze cave where you have to like jump between walls to get a star.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Right where the boulders come down.
Yeah.
I never got that one as a kid.
But I agree with you, Shane, that I think Mario 64 does do more with less. But stuff like wall jumping is really tight. It's not as clear as something like Banjo, where it's like you have the mole tell you, hey, this is this move you now can have, and this is how you use it.
My argument in favor of Mario 64 is that what I remember having the most fun with in Mario 64 wasn't actually playing the game itself. It was the sandbox aspect of it that I enjoyed a lot. Like I spent a lot of time just like going into Babam Battlefield and just screwing around, or like putting on the hat, or getting Koopa Shell and flying around. Did Womps Fortress a lot. Go to Lethal Lava Land. Would pretend I was a superhero, like just flying through like volcanoes and lava and stuff, and like surfing around the entire map on just the Koopa Shell across lava.
Yeah,
I screw around a lot.
I used to go to Tiny Huge Island and pretend like I was surfing, and I would like figure out cool tricks. I could like go on the wall and oh, you're sick.
Yeah, I like that's how I had like a lot of fun with Mario 64. I wasn't getting it collecting things. It was such good sandbox level. I could screw around. Having not really played Banjo-Kazooie that much, I don't know if that has the same kind of aspect or not. I feel like it doesn't. I could be wrong.
I feel like in Banjo you just kind of walk through the world and like you move to another level. One thing that I really liked about one thing I really like about Mario 64, they've kind of moved away from the hub world sense, but especially back then it was really cool. I remember playing the game on a demo and just like swimming around in the castle, like this is amazing. And then like you go into different paintings and it just felt so cool, like you're just transferring to different worlds. Even though they kind of reused a lot of them, there's like 2 snow levels and like 2 water levels and stuff like that. It felt like you just, what's the next cool painting I'm gonna jump in? I like how they had other paintings just around the whole world, and it's like, oh, can I get to that one? And some of them weren't even that obvious, like what was freaking Wet Dry World. Like I didn't even like know about that level because it was just kind of like sitting there. Yeah. I never tried to jump into it. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the hub world. It made me kind of sad. I get why they got rid of it, but it made me kind of sad when they moved away from it. But I don't know if that's just nostalgia or what. Jirard, did you want to like say something?
Oh no, I have a question for all you guys. When was the last time you all played Banjo-Kazooie?
1999.
I played it a little bit before we did the Madness. That was the last time I played it.
Maybe like a year ago.
Okay, just curious.
I'm not trying to be. I'm literally wondering. So we've hit minute 20. We should start moving to final points.
Hey, just for the record, are we going to get an audience vote on this? I think the audience should get the vote.
Let's remind.
So I want to ask one more question as a talking point. mostly for Jirard, because he played Banjo-Kazooie a lot and knows. So Jirard, in Banjo-Kazooie, does it have any levels that suck? Because Mario 64 has levels that suck.
Rusty Bucket Bay.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's one level, and I would say it's Rusty Bucket Bay, mostly because it's the sandbox and fire. It's surprise, surprise. It's a water level that, which I feel like very few 3D games understand how to make a good water level at the time. It's like very hard to have one that is like, this is perfect. It's never perfect. Rusty Bucket Bay, I think, is the worst level from Banjo-Kazooie, and mostly because it's about the stakes of what's going on. Like at some point, you know, like there's like you have to do a lot of underwater breathing, and like you have a hard time controlling Banjo and Kazooie perfectly, and you can run out of water pretty quickly. Or there's going inside. I think we go the right level, right? You go inside the ship, and there's really tight platforming, and you have to be careful with how you jump through the fans, and did you hit the right patterns? Like there are levels that suck, but for the most part, I think that's truly, in my opinion, the only one that's like a true pain in the ass.
Okay, because I would say like there's a lot of Mario 64 levels that people generally don't like. TikTok clock is extremely obnoxious.
Yeah.
The rainbow pepper light takes too long no matter whatever star you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not at your own pace. It sucks. I don't like Hazy Maze Cave because it's a lot of
I don't like
tight
that
corners
either.
and it does not function with Mario 64's camera. So I do think there's like a lot of levels in Mario 64 that aren't good. And I don't really know, just based on how you talk about it. It seems like by default, Banjo-Kazooie's is much cleaner.
Well,
and
yeah,
better in that sense. I was trying to give Banjo-Kazooie a point.
Well, I appreciate that. I think like we keep saying the word sandbox, like, and I think that Banjo, from almost every angle, obviously is a sandbox. But I think what it does really well is just the overall nature and design of the levels match what you're at. Kind of similar to Mario 64, right? Like Mario 64 has 2 or 3 ice levels, whereas Banjo has 1, but you're not seeing reused assets, and you're not seeing reused elements from previous levels. It tries to contain.
Dude, that ice bomb, that bully that you knock off, that's totally different than the lava one. It's completely different thing. It's different.
It tries to make sure that, like, if you're in the Halloween level, this is the Halloween level. If you're in, the sand period level, this is the sand period. It tries to stick to what it creates, and in my opinion, creates a really beautiful picture in the end for that specific level, except for Rusty Bucket Bay, because it sucks.
Hey guys, we're gonna have to move into voting. So the way we should do this, the 5 of you should get a vote. Barry should get a vote.
Ooh.
Wait, why does Barry get a vote?
Well, anyone that's
And the audience gets a vote.
So it's everyone versus Jirard in the room? Is that what we're doing right now? Oh,
No, I was trying to get it to an odd number, and I'm biased, so I shouldn't vote.
Okay.
I'll just go right out there. Banjo. No, Mario 64.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Mario 64.
Mario 64.
It's okay, guys. You won't get this.
I mean, it's not fair to Banjo because I didn't play it enough, so I kind of default to Mario 64.
Come on,
But-
guys, create some tension.
I mean, still listening to like the way Jirard talks about it, like I still feel, and like again, things I mentioned about like the boss fights and the level design, I still feel like Banjo-Kazooie probably is a better designed game overall. If you're into that kind of stuff, I'm not. So
If you're into good games, I guess.
So, like, so like, I'm not discrediting Banjo-Kazooie at all, because that's really, really tough. So I still default to Mario 64, just because I have played that and I did enjoy it. But I hear the arguments. I still think that Banjo-Kazooie probably is better.
So
Making it interesting.
And then
So
it's
that-
better
that-
cartoon, but
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mario. I'll stick with Mario though.
Magic School Bus 1, so,
Yeah.
Hey, spoilers.
You have plenty of time to watch that.
Wait,
That's not my fault.
YouTube.com/1bit.
What does the audience think though?
Are we giving Barry a vote?
Yeah.
Honorary Madness member?
Merry Kramer, everyone.
Banjo.
Hey. You know what?
Twitch.tv/Barry is no.
everyone's dead.
I'm not gonna talk anymore.
You know what? I don't care anymore. Barry's on my side. That's all that matters.
Okay, so how we're gonna do this is we're gonna go like Super Mario 64, and people raise your hands. Because if you screamed at us, we'd die.
But screaming would be more fun.
Okay.
We should go for odd, like keep it short and sweet, like 3 seconds scream. Right?
No. See,
It's like a 3, 2, 1.
it never works because whoever goes second, the audience just knows they have to top the previous.
Yes.
Hey, that's it's about the passion too. It's about the passion. Like if you're just like
Yeah, but
Mario.
then you do, okay, let's do it again. And then the second time everyone's even more screaming, then you're like, well, which one do we pick? It's not the
Person
same.
running the audio, are you freaking out about people screaming?
Just keep your microphones facing that way.
Okay, we won't scream. Like we'll hold up. I'll hold up my hand, and then put it down and stop screaming. How about that?
It's too complicated.
Okay, I'm taking charge here.
Okay, I'm vetoing that.
Okay. I quit normal boots. I'm offended.
You're game one. Shut up.
No, not yet.
Okay,
We all
everyone.
agree at the very least Banjo-Kazooie is better than Arthur, right?
Yes.
You're gonna compare a cartoon to something on video game?
Banjo-Kazooie is a cartoon-ass game, right? So it's a better cartoon. Anyway, people who think Super Mario 64 is a better game, raise your hand.
I'm gonna see what
All right, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Put your hand down, Todd. People who think Banjo-Kazooie is a better game.
Ooh, that's kind of what I figured, to be honest.
Something wrong.
We're old farts up here. We don't know what we're talking about.
So I think I ended at 4-3, but okay.
Oh, yeah, so wait, was it 4?
So the audience counts as one vote. Barry counts as one vote. And I count as one vote. We still lose.
Wait, no, didn't Jirard vote for Banjo?
No, there's still
I'm
Mario.
Mario.
Oh, okay. I was confused by that one.
All right. Thank
Get
you,
wrecked.
thank you, audience and Barry, for agreeing with me. I love you all.
We still have like 25 minutes that we do.
Want to talk about upcoming madness?
Sure.
Because right now we're going through cartoons.
Yes.
Do people know the one after that?
Yeah, after the 90s cartoons, which is featuring Alex Faciani and Barry, we're doing PlayStation 1 games with Knabenbauer. And also Barry.
And I will say now, I was already upset with myself that I wasn't there to properly represent a specific entry on that bracket.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You got word on what happened? I have no idea what happened.
I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed. I wake up and sweat with the results from PS1.
yeah.
Multiple times, like Jim and I were like sleeping in the same room, and we'd just be like, why don't we vote for that?
No, that really does happen right after the episode sometimes. We're like, why did we do that again?
Right now,
It's like a heat of the moment
School bus
kind of thing.
swing.
if I ask you right now, what's the best PS1 game? Think it to your head. Whatever it is you're thinking, that's not. That's not what
Whatever your
ends up.
favorite one is.
We just get really hyped up on Red Bull, and it's like a very heat of the moment like decision, and then we're chill later, and we're like, I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's like we got like hung over or something.
There's gonna be a massive gift set of me and Shane looking at the camera like.
So the decision he's talking about, one of the producers and the camera guys who worked on that, his name's Fraser, he's great. He I could see him behind the camera just going like,
You're like, and cut. He's like, come on! What?
I got a tweet. This is only barely related to what we're talking about, but I got a tweet last night from somebody with the Rugrats and Kept Courage.
Barry's
And
face on it.
and he was like, I had to unsub. This was the last straw.
I haven't like checked the comments, but multiple people have like come up to me this weekend being like, you guys made the wrong decision.
The 90s cartoon one has been a lot more like cutthroat than 64 one, it seems like. People have that nostalgia for those cartoons.
It's funny because we were talking about the other day at a restaurant, and like, because we have Alex Faciani in the mix with Barry, it's the most like kind and like intelligent conversations that take place. And they look at the comment section and you're like, what happened? Like, everyone's so mad.
That's part of the fun though to me. I really don't, I would be more upset if people weren't upset about it, because I feel like that's part of the point. It's like watching a sports game, you want to like yell at the TV.
This is
like, that's part of the fun. Like, yeah. I feel like that's the almost desired result. Yeah. If everybody was like, yeah, that's fine, I would be like, oh, we're not doing something right.
Do we have any other madness ideas planned, or ones that we can
Shoot, should we? We've talked about the next like 5 or 6.
We did a poll
Yeah.
like a month ago asking what people wanted. And it was like between 4 things, and the top thing on the list got like 60% of the vote, and it was GameCube game.
Yeah.
Wait. That might not be next though.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it at some point.
Oh, GameCube games will be like the one right after the one we're like putting together right now. Can we?
Yeah, we're gonna do best Smash Bros. Character.
We have one guest already locked in, and it's D1.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Wait, what did you say?
We have a guest locked in, and it's D1, the Smash commentator.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, we like reached out and was like, hey, we'd love to have you on the show, and he was like, Smash Brothers is literally my life. I'll do this.
I know other concepts we've had, nothing's set in stone, but I still want to do madness brackets of best breakfast cereals.
Oh, yeah.
Featuring Youngtown.
Yeah, featuring Youngtown.
We'll be eating them and just be so sick by the end of the day.
That's like based off the fact that at a convention one time there was like 8 of us in a hotel room.
Yeah, it was
pointing stash at each other. It was Norm, us, Luke, and it was like 4 in the morning. And you just were like, "Hey, we were talking about fucking better say Golden Grapes, bitch."
We've actually with high concept of this this breakfast cereal madness, because we're gonna have like wine glasses, but
Yeah.
you know, Cinnamon Toast Crunch really is a taste you can see.
So I think we want to do more madness things that not always strictly video games like that. Like the 90s cartoon is also kind of like showing that that's kind of the kind of stuff that we wanted to do. Other nostalgic things that everyone kind of knows or is at least familiar with, and it's kind of just talking about the best ones from there. But yeah, I just always found the cereals to be silly and yeah.
Good SEO. People really love it.
Yeah, people are going to YouTube searching about charms.
We gotta throw in that like late 80s Super Mario Zelda cereal.
Yeah.
One of those.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
You know?
that would not be
It was better back in the day, I think.
We only have a few minutes left, so yeah, just giving you the warning.
Were we gonna do like a few questions or something?
What do you guys think? We probably
Sure, why not?
15 minutes left?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, we
We can
can
do that.
Yeah.
I guess if you have
We
a
actually
question
have
about
we have 3 minutes left actually.
No, wait, what?
No, we made it 12:30, my dude. No, wait.
No, 12.
Oh, you're right.
Panels are 45 minutes at this
Oh,
convention.
you're right.
Well, in that case,
Okay, 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 questions.
3 questions.
we'll answer one question. It better be really good.
No pressure.
Oh God, I don't want to pick.
Lee, you have to. You're the moderator.
I'll pick you. You pick yours up first. The green hat.
Yeah.
You were at our panel yesterday.
Yeah. So while I was watching the discussion about you guys talking about Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie, and then you talked about the collectathon aspect, I was actually thinking about when you guys talk about Banjo-Kazooie, I've heard a couple arguments that people actually think of Banjo-Kazooie when they talk about Mario Odyssey a little bit. And in terms of like the collectathon aspect, because Mario Odyssey, when you grab a moon, you don't go out and roll, and it does have some of those sort of aspects where you're collecting the purple coins, kind of like collecting some of the feathers, like maybe Banjo-Kazooie. Do you think those two games are like comparable to each other at all? Do you think Mario Odyssey may have taken some inspiration from Banjo at all?
I mean, I definitely see the optimization comparisons, and I agree wholeheartedly that I think Mario Odyssey is just an evolution of the 3D platformer, and I think that Banjo-Kazooie was ahead of its time because Nintendo didn't implement any of those changes until they really reassessed why people did not like Mario Odyssey or Mario Galaxy 2, and Sunshine, and you know they had a couple of years of like this is what I love but don't like. I love them too, but you know I think that it I'm sure it didn't have to do with it, but it definitely you can see the comparisons for sure.
I heard I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard part of the reason was that they wanted it to be more available on the go. So they wanted you to just be able to like just go and just do whatever you want.
I also saw that Did You Know Gaming video.
That must have been what it was. It was some channel, I don't know.
What's up here? So just to remind everyone as we wrap up here, please do not come to the front and say hi to us because we do have to get out of here as there are more panels after us.
We'll traffic jam everything.
We'll just head straight to what's our signing?
The panel room. It's the same as yesterday. For those who were here yesterday. Yeah.
I guess just follow other people that look like they know what they're doing.
And at the very least, if you got nothing else going on, go see Normally Gaming Historians panel. It's gonna be great. So go check that out.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you guys for coming to the Normal Boots panel.
Bye guys, thank you for coming.